Something in the sky. Yeah, so something which has an end is called perish. We call that perish or perishable. Something that has a end.
Yes.
That's destroyed. So imperishable is the opposite. So imperishable means it never perishes. It means it never has an end. It never dwindles and dies. That's imperishable. So Krishna's saying here then that his form will never come to an end. It will never die. It will never perish. And it's supreme. So Krishna's form is the supreme form. It's the original form and most powerful, most supreme form. Okay, so let's read the purport.
Okay. Those who are worshippers of demigods have been described as a less intelligent person, and here the impersonalists are similarly described. Lord Krishna in his personal form is here speaking before Arjuna, and still, due to ignorance, impersonalists argue that the Supreme Lord ultimately have no form. Yamunacharya, a great devotee of Lord in the disciplic succession of Ramanujacharya, have written a very appropriate verse in the connection. He says,
just wait there. Just wait there. I just want to explain something. So we were talking about the 4 disciplic successions.
Yeah.
So this Ramanujacharya, he's the main teacher in the Sri Sampradaya or Lakshmi Sampradaya. So that disciplic succession that started off from Lord Narayan speaking to Lakshmi, he is the main teacher in that one, Ramanujacharya. So Yamunacharya is also coming in that line from Ramanujacharya.
Yeah.
And he's got this verse here. Another point I just wanted to say is that what was the point? Yeah, that's one of the reasons why God comes to the material world, to show all these people that think that God is just energy or light, to show them that here I am. See, I have come here and I have a form. So God comes to the material world and displays wonderful pastimes in his spiritual form to attract us to him and to loving him and coming back to the spiritual world. He comes in his spiritual form to show us, to prove that he has a form. He's not just energy.
Yep.
You know, when Krishna was on the earth, he wasn't just some light.
No,
he had a beautiful blackish form with 2 legs and 2 arms and lotus eyes that looked like lotus petals, and he had a turban with a peacock feather in it, and he was dancing, you know, very beautifully, and, you know, herding cows, and, you know, so he has a form. So Krishna comes to defeat those ignorant people that think that God is just energy, and he personally comes. That's what Prabhupada's saying here.
Yeah. Okay.
So you can just read the English, no need to read the Sanskrit.
My dear Lord, devotee like Vasudeva and Narada, know you be the personality of Godhead. By understanding different Vedic literature, one can come to know your characteristics, your form, and your activities. And one can thus understand that you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But those who are in the mode of passion and ignorance, the demons, the non-devotees, cannot understand you. They are unable to understand you. However, experts such non-devotee may be discussing Vedanta and Upanishad and the other Vedic literature. It is not possible for them to understand the personality of Godhead. Stotara.
Okay, just stop there for now. So this is the process of understanding God. We have to hear from great devotees, like it's mentioned, from Vyasadeva, Narada. So that those great devotees, like Narada and Vyasadeva, they know who God is and they know all the truth about God. So that's the process for understanding the truth, is to hear from these great personalities. Actually, it's said there's 12 Mahajans that perfectly know everything about God. So we have to hear from those 12 Mahajans. That's the recommendation if we want to know what is the tattva, the truth. So who are those 12? Well, 2 of them are mentioned here, Narada, Vyasadeva. So it's mentioned, what's the verse? It's in the Bhagavatam 5th canto. It's saying there, Swayambur Narada Shambhu. So Swayambur, that's Lord Brahma. That's another name of Lord Brahma. He has no mother. So he's known as Swayambhu, one who is self-born without a mother. So that's Lord Brahma. He's a Mahajan. And Narada, that's Narada Muni. And Shambhu, that's Lord Shiva. He's a Mahajan, a great personality that knows who God is. Then Pralada Janaka Bhishmo. No, next line is Kumara, Kapilomanu. Yeah, the 4 Kumaras. So the 4 Kumaras. Kapila Deva, he's a Mahajan. Manu, so Swayambhuva Manu. The first Manu is known as Swayambhuva Manu, Lord of mankind. Father of mankind. And then Prahlad Maharaj, Janak Maharaj, the father of Sita Devi. He's a Mahajan, Janak.
Yeah.
Bhishma Deva, he's a Mahajan.
Yeah.
And then Balir, so Bali Maharaj.
Yeah,
Bali Maharaj, he's the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. He's also, he's the one that had the pastime with Vamanadev. So Bali Maharaj, he's a Mahajan. He knows the truth about God. And
how about Arjuna? Arjuna wasn't any Mahajan?
Definitely, he's a great personality, yeah. But there's 12 that are, you could say, the most famous. Okay. And of course, if you also follow a Mahajan, then you also, in one sense, become a Mahajan. But these are, like, you could say, the 12 most authorized. Yeah. 12 most authorized knowers of God. So, and then Vyasaki means Shukadeva Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva. So Shukadeva, here's the Mahajan. And then this verse is spoken by Yamaraj. So he's also a Mahajan. So those are the 12 Mahajans. So this is the process we have to hear from a pure devotee of the Lord. And then we can understand who God is and what his different characteristics are and what his pastimes are, what his names are, all these different things we can know. But if we don't connect with these great devotees, but instead if we're like in the modes of passion and ignorance, as it's mentioned here, demons and non-devotees and passion and ignorance, then you can't understand. It's not possible. From our teeny brain, it's not possible to understand God. The recommended process is just to surrender to the devotees and to hear from those that know God. That's the recommendation. From our own teeny brain, impossible to comprehend what is God, who is God, everything like that. Does that make sense? You want to say anything about
it does. Yeah, no, it does actually. But there's a 12 Mahajan was the famous, but like it's a Maharani Kunti. She knows that as well. He's a personality.
Yeah, so she knows. Yep. So it's not confined to only 12, but you could say those are the 12 that are that most authorized
Christ, yeah.
and you could say, I don't know, famous maybe.
Okay.
But yeah, there's definitely, like I said, anyone that sincerely follows the Mahajans also becomes a great personality.
Sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, you want me to read again?
Yeah.
In the Brahm Samhita, it is stated that personality of Godhead cannot be understood simply by studying of Vedanta literature. Only by the mercy of Supreme Lord can the personality of Supreme be known. Therefore, in this verse, it's clearly stated that not only are the worshipper of the demigod less intelligent, but those non-devotee who are engaged in Vedanta and speculation on Vedic literature without any tinge of true Krishna consciousness, all also less intelligent. And for them, it is not possible to understand God's personal nature. Person who are under the impression that absolute truth is impersonal are described as abuddhya, which means those who do not know the ultimate feature of absolute truth. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated that supreme realization begins from impersonal Brahman and then rise to localized supersoul. But the ultimate word in the absolute truth is personality of Godhead. Modern impersonalists are still less intelligent, for they do not even follow their great procedures. Shankaracharya, who has specifically stated that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, impersonalists, therefore, not knowing the Supreme Truth, think Krishna to be only the son of Devaki and Vasudeva, or a prince or a powerful living entity. This is also condemned in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 11. Avanjanti mam madhu manusim tamnu arsitam. Only the fool regards me as an ordinary person. The fact in that no one can understand Krishna without rendering devotional service and without developing Krishna consciousness. The Bhagavatam 10.14-49 confirm that. My Lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But those who are speculate to understand the supreme personality of Godhead and are unable to know you, even though they continue to study Vedas for many years. One cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, or his form, quality, or name simply by mental speculation or by discussing Vedic literature. One must understand him by devotional service. When one is fully engaged in Krishna consciousness, beginning by chanting Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, then only can one understand Supreme Personality of Godhead. Non-devotee impersonalists think that the Krishna has a body made of material nature and that's all his activities. His form and everything are Maya. The impersonalists are known as Mayavadis. They do not know the ultimate truth. The 20th verse clearly states that Kamaeste Thea Hatha Janana Prapante Naya Davetha. Those who are blinded by lusty desires surrender onto the different demigods. It is accepted that beside the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are demigods who has their different planets, and the Lord also has a planet. As stated in the 23rd verse, Divan Devyo Yana Yanti Mada Bhakte Yanti Mamyapi. The worshipper of the demigod go to different planet of demigods. Those who are devotee of Lord Krishna goes to Krishna Loka planet. Although this is clearly stated, the foolish impersonalists still maintain that the Lord is formless and that these forms are impositions. From the study of Gita, does it clear that the demigod and their abodes are impersonal? Clearly, neither the demigod nor Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are impersonal. They are all persons. Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and has his own planet, and the demigod have theirs. Therefore, monistic contention that ultimate truth is formless and that a form is imposed does not hold true. It is clearly stated that that is not imposed. From the Bhagavad Gita, we can clearly understand that the form of the demigods and the form of Supreme Lord are simultaneously existing, and that Lord Krishna is Sat Chit Ananda, eternal blissful knowledge. The Vedas also confirm that the Supreme Absolute Truth is Ananda Mayo Bhyate Bhyasta
Vyasat.
Bhyasa, or the nature full of bliss, pleasure, and that he is reservoir of ultimate auspicious qualities. And in Gita, the Lord says that although he is Aja, unborn, he still appears. These are the facts that we should understand from the Bhagavad Gita. We cannot understand how Supreme Personality of Godhead can be impersonal. The imposition theory of impersonalist monist is false as far as the statements of Gita are concerned. It is clear here in the Supreme Absolute Truth, Lord Krishna has both form and personality.
Mm-hmm.
It's clearly say that, and Prabhupada explained it very nicely. And if a common person doesn't understand, that's their problem.
Mm. The root cause of the problem is that the souls are envious of Krishna. That is the problem, because of envy of Krishna. So they want to be Krishna, they want to be God. So they don't want to surrender to Krishna because they want to take Krishna's position. So they hate God, and are envious of God. So this is a disease, and because of that, they adopt this impersonalist philosophy that, and their idea is they going to merge into that energy, and Gulshan, your picture hasn't changed for a long time. It's like frozen.
Is it? No.
Yeah.
I can hear clearly.
Anyway, you're still there. That's good.
Yeah, but no,
Oh, yeah.
I can see your picture moving and my pictures.
Okay, your picture doesn't move. It's like frozen.
Really?
But that's
Okay.
okay. As long as you're there, that's the main thing.
Yeah, I'm here. I can see your picture completely okay, and you're moving, and yeah, it's okay. I'm there.
So that's the root of the issue, is that the soul, if it has a desire to be God, and because of that, this
So these impersonalist people, they have to come back and go and come back and go until they will believe the truth. The truth is Krishna has got a form and he has got a planet. They don't believe in that, but then they have to be rebirth again and again until they believe, is it?
Well, if they become perfect in their process of impersonal philosophy, the best they can do is merge into the energy. So they can merge into the Brahman. However, that merging into the Brahman is not our natural position. Our natural position of the soul is to engage in loving service, devotional service to the Lord. So even if the soul merges in the Brahman, because there's no loving relationship there, if you're just light, if you just merged into light, there's no no positive enjoyment in that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're definitely out of the material world. So, I mean, there's no suffering. So, but just because there's an absence of suffering, if you're in the Brahman, in the light, that doesn't mean it's a perfect life, because there's no relationships. And then because there's no relationships, there's no enjoyment, no rasa. See, rasa is the flavor or the taste that one gets from having a relationship. But if there's only one, an energy, there's no variety there. It's just light, energy, light. There's no variety. So there's no relationships.
It's very hollow.
Yeah, it's very dry. It's very boring.
Yeah.
It's like it's like it's all alone. There's no kind of connections, relationships you can have with other souls. So that leads to a kind of frustration that causes the soul to fall down from the Brahman and come back into the material world and come back into a human body. So that's a failure. If you leave the material world but then you come back, then that's a failure. You haven't found the perfection yet.
Yeah, until you find that, you'll be keep coming and going until you get that the right, you're very lucky you have got a guru, and your guru was a disciple of Prabhupada, so you connected with that. Until you got to get connected, you got to be keep coming. There's no other way. That's the thing. So, but impersonalists doesn't believe in that.
No. And as mentioned here in these paragraphs,
impersonalists believe in karma, reincarnation.
Yes. Yeah.
If they believe in reincarnation, they believe in karma, then definitely it's like you don't know when you're gonna born, where you're gonna born, when you're gonna die.
I mean, like it's mentioned here, they study the Vedas, so they know all these Vedic philosophies, like about karma.
They know that there's
karma and reincarnation, but they don't get the ultimate piece, which is that Krishna is the supreme and we should surrender to him. Because, like I said, they don't get that bit, even though it's mentioned in the Vedas. But they don't get that bit because they don't, in their heart, they don't want to, because they're envious of God. So because of that envy, they're like blinded from seeing the truth. It's like can be right in front of your face, but if you don't want to see it, like there's an old saying, a man convinced against his will maintains the same opinion still. So that's the idea, that your desire is that you want to be God. You don't want to serve God. So anytime you see that you're a servant of God, you overlook it. You don't want to see it. You ignore it. So this is the problem.
I've seen that a woman doesn't want to see them old. They will look in the mirror, even if the 60-year-old woman, she's still looking that 16-year-old. She was believing that. She doesn't want to believe she is 60.
Yeah.
She's still thinking.
We're refusing to see the reality.
That's right. So same thing is that. So
just stubborn, it's
that's
very
right.
stubborn.
Yeah. Just accept it. Sooner or later, you gotta be accept it.
So as Prabhupada explained, the souls in the material world are rebellious. So we've rebelled against God and we want to take his position. And because of that, we desire to become God. And that's what this philosophy is all about. That if you become perfect in your impersonal realization, then you can become one with everything, become God. So that's their goal, to become God. But like I said, it ends up in frustration because that's not our real position, and missing and having those loving relationships.
Even everybody is believing the Hanuman as a god, as a temple and all, but he called himself still a servant.
Correct.
Okay? They
But
say
see,
that
things like that, they can never see that. They can never understand that the life of a devotee is so nice.
and it's a more temple of the Hanuman than temple than Rama. More temple of
Correct.
Hanuman compared to
Yeah.
temple of Rama. So a
Yeah.
devotee has got a more
Yeah.
temple. But
Yeah.
he always
So
calls himself Sevak, means I'm a servant.
yeah. Yeah. So because that is the process of understanding God. You have to approach the devotee.
That's right.
If you approach the devotee, surrender the devotee will train us. The devotee will teach us and train us how to approach the Lord. But we can't approach the Lord directly.
No
It's
other way.
very difficult. As mentioned here, we have to please the Lord by devotional service. And when he's pleased by our service, and because you were chanting the Hare Krishna mantra and things like that, so when we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, he's pleased. And when we do these other services, offer him some food and hear about him, these different 9 processes, then he's pleased. And then when he's pleased by our service, then he gives us knowledge in our heart. He enlightens us in our heart. And that's another name of Bhakti Yoga. It's called Buddhi Yoga. So Buddhi means intelligence. And the idea is that if you do bhakti, if you do some service for the Lord, he becomes pleased and he gives you the buddhi. He gives you the intelligence in your heart. So even might be, what's that?
You give intelligence to understand.
Yeah, to how to understand him.
Yeah.
He'll give us the intelligence to understand who he is, who we are, that we're the soul, we're not the body, and then what's our relationship and how we can progress to going back to Godhead. So all that knowledge he'll give us from within our heart, and also he'll arrange that we meet devotees and the devotees can guide us and like that. And Prabhupada's making the point here, these impersonalists are so foolish, even though it's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita that if you worship the demigods, you can go to the planet of the demigods, and if you worship Krishna, you can go to Krishna, like that. But still, they can't understand that God is a person. Even the demigods are a person. That's what Prabhupada's pointing out in the purport here. Even the demigods are a person. What to speak of their boss, the ultimate God, he's also a person. So how could they not see that? The whole Bhagavad Gita is talking about persons. Krishna is a person talking to another person, Arjuna. They're talking about demigods who are also persons, but the ultimate realization these Mayavadis come to is that it's all just energy. But what happens? Where did all the persons go?
But no, do they do offering?
What's that?
They do offering like a food, Mayavadi?
See, what they'll do, often the Mayavadis are very sneaky. What they'll do, because they realize that they're still in Maya and they're not completely Brahman realized yet. So what they'll do to help themselves become more advanced in Brahman realization, they'll do some worship. So they'll worship Narayan, they'll worship Shiva, they'll worship Ganesh, they'll worship Suryadev, the sun god, they'll worship Durga, like that. They're called Panchapashana. So they'll worship 5 different gods. And their idea, though, of worshipping these gods, these persons, is that when they're perfect in their spiritual realization, they'll merge with them. They'll merge with them and become one with the deity and merge into the energy, the all-pervading energy. So whereas a devotee like Hanuman wants to eternally be the servant of Ram, but these impersonalists, they're very sneaky. They sometimes even worship the Lord or the demigods, but their goal is to become one with them, to merge. So that it can look like the impersonalists sadhana or spiritual practice. Sometimes it looks like they have very similar sadhana. Sometimes they'll even chant japa and do puja and different things like that. But the difference is their goal in their heart, they want to merge with the Lord. They want to merge with the demigod, or merge with God and become one with everything. So that's the difference, is that their goal, they want to become God, whereas the devotee's goal is to become the servant of God,
Servant
eternal
of the servant.
servant of the servant eternally.
Yeah.
Whereas they're just using the worship of a demigod or the worship of God as a stepping stone to merging with the Brahman energy.
But if
So,
if they offer like a prasad, like offer the bhoga,
yeah.
if they offer it, means if they're offering the God has got a form, then they can eat, isn't it? How can you be given
Oh,
an
your
offer
pictures
plate of
come back.
food?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it's like
Just
and
come back.
then if you're offering a food in the plate, God definitely have got a mouth, has got a form that to eat, isn't it?
No, but they're thinking this is Maya. But they're thinking, because I'm in Maya, I have to relate with another Maya thing. But their idea is they want to come ultimately to the realization that everything is one. But just temporarily they're dealing with the demigod. But they don't have real faith that the demigods or the Lord are real. They just see them as temporary Maya illusory things, but they're just using them, a stepping stone, to get to where they want to get to. This is the disease that they have due to envy.
That's
So
their philosophy.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate, but it's very common. Very common.
The mostly like in
Personal
Bengal,
philosophy is very common.
a lot of in Bengal they are Mayawadi, like it'll be looking, if the Bengal population, if you're looking that, it'll be like maybe 20% they are the follower of ISKCON, but 80% they are Mayawadi. They follow that the what do you call that Vivekananda.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
And they'll say, it doesn't really matter who you worship anyone you want, because ultimately it's all one anyway. So they have all these impersonal kind of philosophies they speak about. Yatamat Tatapat. There are many paths and they all lead to the same result, and like that's all one and everything. So it's a lot of impersonalism there. And everyone goes to the same place. It doesn't matter who you worship. Everyone goes to the same place. So like that, it's very impersonal. Whereas that's not what Bhagavad Gita says. Bhagavad Gita says, if you worship the demigods, you're going to go to the demigods. If you worship the ghosts, you're going to go to the ghosts. If you worship Krishna, you're going to go to Krishna. So it's very different, your destination, according to what is your process. Who are you following? Who are you worshipping? Like that.
Absolutely. It's clearly say that, but no.
But that's free choice Krishna gives. If you use your choice to worship demigods to fulfill your desires, okay, you can have it. If your choice is to merge and become one with everything, okay, you can have it. But ultimately all those paths are going to lead in frustration, disappointment, unhappiness, like that. But we got to take responsibility for our own choices. If you make a choice, you have to follow through, and it's no one else's fault, right? If you make a wrong choice and stuff things up, then you can't blame someone else. Oh, it's Krishna's fault. It's
if you notice that those who are failure in any direction, either business or anything, they always blame others. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
They blame others except themselves. Even in the politics or business or study, anything, if they failure, they always blame others. Not themselves, like, I didn't do my research properly, or I didn't do my homework properly. That's why I got failed. And they doesn't want to believe that they failed. They just always, there's the government is not right, or tax system is not good, or too much competition there, or like competitors there, or I didn't get a staff well. They blame everyone, their whole world. But they don't realize that, like, well, that's the main thing for the failure.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned before about if they offer boga, if the impersonalist offers boga to make the prasadam, but that'll never become prasadam, that food, because they don't have love. They don't have any love for Krishna.
If they make boga, if they're offering, that Krishna has got a form, then he can eat. If it doesn't have a form, how can he eat?
I know, but they're just doing it mechanically. They're just doing it mechanically.
And like,
they don't have any real faith. Their idea is just to merge with the deity, merge with everything.
If you
but
are
my point is that whatever they cook never becomes prasadam, because Krishna's not pleased with them, because they don't have his bhakti. They might do japa and do puja and everything, but they don't have any bhakti, any love. They're just doing everything.
But if you believe Krishna has got a form, then Krishna has got an ear, can hear you. But if he doesn't have a form, then what's the point of singing? Because Krishna is not a form. Why are you singing then? We are singing because Krishna has got a form and has got an ear, and Krishna can listen. So that's simple. It's a science. If somebody has got an ear, can listen, isn't it? If somebody doesn't have an ear, how can he listen? Oh, well. Anyway, that's their belief, whatever they want to be. But then in West Bengal, I spoke to a couple of devotees there, pujaris in the temple. They said that 70-80% in West Bengal, they are like Mayavadi. They just Vivekananda followers. And only maybe 10-20% probably with the Vaishnav follow ISKCON, mostly in Calcutta and all that. Okay. That's okay. But everybody has got their own way. But the real thing is, it's like where your knowledge coming from. What's the source? If you're coming from the right source, that's fine. If not coming from the right source,
most of these people have been sucked in by corrupt leaders, by corrupt gurus.
That's right.
And because they are less intelligent, they've been cheated by them. But the main thing is that we need to develop our intelligence so that we won't be cheated so easily. We won't be misled, because that's very common in Kali Yuga. There's a lot of misleaders. Wrong leaders.
That's why half of them in the jail. I know that. So that's the thing. If anyone will say, just asking, what's the source of your knowledge, where it's coming from? If coming from disciple succession, that's fine. If not, it's completely waste of time. It's true. It's a normal size. It's like anyone can understand if has got a little bit of buddhi. If somebody is saying that, and if you ask him, if you can see any lecture of any guru or something, and they make a statement, ask him, where do you get that from? And if he says, I just made it. Okay, thank you. But if you mention that such and such in a Bhagavatam mentioned in there, that's what it is. Okay. So that's the thing. But anyway, everybody has got their own belief. So spoke to Bhaktimala, see how she's doing. I haven't seen her for weeks. Hope she's